And it looks like we're live. Welcome everyone tonight to our very first Mentoring Millionaires Sunday night sessions featuring Val Smyth. And I want to welcome each and every one of you. And if you have been living under a rock or in a closet for the last 15 years, let me just introduce you to Val Smyth, one of the industry's top producers in the network marketing MLM industry, online and offline, and had an incredible run with a program called Mentors in Motion between 2001 and 2006, with 182,000 members, generating over $91 million in sales, and in his 37 years has generated over $700 million in sales, folks. 2.2 million people in the industry. That puts chills up my spine. I don't know about you. So we're very fortunate to have him here and sharing his wisdom with each and every one of you, and myself included. Val and I've spent a lot of time talking together, and I think we should have probably recorded a lot of our conversations in the past, but we've got him here live today, folks. And so we're going to give him the floor and share some wisdom. I know there's a lot of you out there that might be brand new to the industry, some veterans in the industry, but you know what? We learn from each other. And certainly, we've got a great time ahead of us, new trends in the industry, a lot of things changing. And I think we're going to talk a lot about that and where we are at. Val, and where do you see us going here with this new trend?
Well, first off, before we get into all that good stuff here, let's talk about what are you drinking right now? What are you drinking? I'm drinking, since this is kind of a semi-organo call, it's definitely not generic. It's definitely in credit for the team, but I'm drinking mocha. What do you got going there?
I've got the green tea. I love to brew a pot of this and then put it in the fridge, and then I will sip this throughout the day. And it is the green tea. However, it's kind of red. It's got this lovely, lovely red tinge to it, but I love it. They're all my favorites. I can't pick one. I'm fickle.
That's great. Well, anyhow, cheers. Let's do a quick cheers before we get started.
Okay, cheers.
Cheers. There you go. From Edmonton to Vancouver. It's great.
You bet.
Well, first off, Tracy, it's a real honor to be able to present with you tonight. It's been a very interesting ride, and you know, when we discussed doing this, we talked about what were we going to do, training and keeping it generic. And then, you know, as we talked, as this kind of evolved over the last week and a half, we realized that we had to encapsulate this around organo. And that's just because we have a lot of new people coming in. We want to support the team. We want people to have the right information. And just as we got discussing with the team, I didn't want to come out of the closet the first night and doing this presentation and just kind of hit everybody with the heavy duty Mentors in Motion, you know, 2015 version with video, which we didn't have back in the day when we put 182,000 people in it. We could have came out and, you know, tonight we could get into all the philosophical type of approaches about, you know, captain and crew and the subconscious mind and the conscious mind, and why everything that every millisecond of your life, every event that happened to you in your life, as we take you through the weeks, you'll understand exactly why everything happened in your life, why every person came into your life, every conversation came into your life, every right, every left, every walking down a straight path. You'll understand everything by the time we get through with this tonight. But not tonight, sorry, as we get through this over a period of time. We're going to do this, you know, over the next numerous weeks. We don't know what the cap's going to be on this. Probably won't be a cap. We can make this a discussion group. We're also going to be bringing in guest speakers as well, where Tracy and I will moderate. You'll see Shane Moran here live in camera. God only knows, you might even see Holton Buggs someday. You never know. There's going to be all kinds of incredible people that will come through here in relationship to our Organo project. And the reason why we put an emphasis on organo, the reason why Tracy and I are putting an emphasis on organo, is it comes down to what I want to talk to you all about tonight. It has to do with the decision. Okay? I've been in this game for 37 years. I've gone from the dysfunctional side of things. I came from a very shy, introverted, always defending the reason why I was a failure. You know, the victimization and playing the roles, and, you know, always defending poverty and you know, explaining to people, you know, whatever it is I needed to know or have them know about not making money in a business opportunity. And we kind of went through a little bit of that this weekend, Tracy, with people defending their poverty consciousness and defending, you know, their right to building a business the way they want to, and, you know, respectfully, so they can do whatever it is they want. But that's not how you generate positive cash flow. That's not how you empower people. And, you know, some people out there make it seem like money's a bad thing. And it's just, why are they even in the entrepreneurial world? Money is not a bad thing. And as long as we push money away and think of it as bad, the universal spiritual laws tied around money totally sabotage us. People focus on debt. You know, they look at business opportunities. They're on the internet marketing, but most of their conversations are around fear and debt, what they can't do. I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't afford this. I can't afford that. So all these interesting fruitcake-like topics need to be flushed down the toilet. That's a disease. That's poverty consciousness. That's toxic. It has no place in the home-based business community. And the only place I would say that should even come to the surface is if you're doing this for a hobby. Excuse me, I'm battling a cold too. So if you're doing it for a hobby, I can totally understand supporting poverty consciousness because it doesn't matter anyhow. It's just a hobby, all right? And that's that. So what I wanted to talk to you all about tonight with Tracy was the decision-making process. And I think people need to understand a decision-making process in anything they do in the game of life, relationships, people, careers, universities, high schools. Benita and I, as parents, we have to make decisions every day for our kids, and hopefully we make the right decisions. Then I can tell you this, in 37 years, the best decision I ever made was coming out of the woodwork and teaching the Dead Sea Scrolls to marketing, which later became Mentors in Motion in 2001, showing the world the communication skills, how we built monstrous organizations. There's so many people out there today that have no idea how some of us have put, 500,000 people in an organization, 200,000-300,000 people in an organization, 20,000-30,000 people in an organization in a matter of a few weeks, sometimes in a few months, definitely less than a year. And so keeping that in mind, my ability to become a student of this industry, and I'm sharing this with you now, I think people need to stop looking at the online world as a fast buck, a quick buck. They really need to take a look at the online world, I think, if you really want genuine success. And I'm not talking about survival money, $800 here. I'm not talking about $300 here and $1,200 here. And, that's just going to keep repeating itself. That's going to be historically repeating itself. But the best thing I ever did, Tracy, was to grow, to develop, to go through the pain, the anxiety, the anxiety disorders that I suffered, the throwing up processes that I had to go through in order to be able to speak out, in order to think, in order to process. I had to leave the old me behind. I had to evolve. I had to grow. And I got to tell you something. It was one of the most painful processes I ever went through my life. Spending a year and a half throwing up all the time before I'd go on conference calls and, just going through the anxiety and the worry and just, for 1 hour before a call, pacing, going back and forth, hands shaking like that and sweating and hearts palpitating all the time and, just sweating like beads, right? Went through all those trials and tribulations and pains and had to go through a period of time. And then you just kind of go through a desensitization process where you can leave that behind. It just becomes natural, becomes habitual, because here I am going off on a tangent, but you're to accept this as being normal now. And for most people, that's not normal. Usually people go to a 9-to-5 thing and they fulfill a role and they follow a curriculum that's designed for them within their comfort zone. That's why they apply for certain positions. So it defines their comfort zone. So now thinking about that, going back to the decision, I've made a lot of wrong decisions throughout this industry on the surface. But deep down, from a spiritual point of view, they were all the correct decisions because I had to learn, I had to grow, I had to embrace the experience, the good, the bad, the ugly. So many people ask me, Tracy, they ask, who are your teachers? Who are your mentors? And they expect to hear people like Anthony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, Mark Victor Hansen, Brian Tracy. None of those people were my mentors. The best teachers I had, and I'll tell you this, and this is a recorded call, the biggest scumbags in this industry, the biggest parasites in this industry. And I say that to you not because I became parasitic or became a scumbag, but I'm saying you can learn more from people that are like professional. They know everything about everything and everything about everything. They know how to play the game. It's just the one thing they don't know about is the universal spiritual laws. What goes around comes around. And so I've seen walk on water in this industry. I've seen some people that own a room, but eventually it caught up to them in a period of time. And so when you get to be trained by the best of the best, the people that have worked the trenches, the people that understand the streets, the people that can come up from underneath a car, the people that can do just about everything and anything, Motivational speakers, they haven't succeeded in the home-based business industry. You take a look at some of the names that I mentioned. Some of these people in the past have tried to excel in network marketing and have never done it. They've tried to excel in starting their own companies. They've never done it. But honestly, I'm just being honest. The good, the bad, the ugly, you take the good from the bad, and you can take that information, because they come with great information too, and you can mold yourself, shape yourself, and become the best you can possibly be. So you can use the information that some of us have been exposed to, either benefit people or you can literally hurt people. There's no question about that. So I share that with you because it's all historical leading up to the decision, because every single one of us have to make a decision in the game of life. And so we put ourselves in positions at times where, we got involved in business opportunities based on good faith. And again, the time that I had success, tremendous success in the millions of dollars, was when I owned the business, when I was the star of the show, when I controlled, the airplane. I was the captain of the ship. I was the lead pilot. And then to duplicate that, it's very difficult. So what happens is you go through your run, as we did with Mentors in Motion. You have 6 years of an incredible run. You change the industry. You create the first disruptive patterns out there. You see a ton of people copying your workshops and your seminars, but modifying them and putting their own twist on there, and then watching them be networks. So all of those things are beautiful things that I embrace and I feel proud about. But you know what? The big thing is when you give your power away, Tracy, and you and I discovered that. We gave our power away. We gave our integrity away, our credibility away to people that really didn't care. They promised us they could do this. They promised us they could have an infrastructure. They promised us they could deliver paychecks. They promised they could deliver products. They promised they could manage, the portfolio that we put in front of them in order to do something. But every time, and I can't begin to tell you how many times I talk to network marketers, and you, Tracy, too, we've been let down. It's never been us. We've delivered a message. We've always wanted to bring people to utopia, but we've never had the supporting cast from an authentic, integral point of view. And again, we've always found a way to deal with, the weaklings of the industry. And that's probably because that's historically what's going on the internet right now. There are more weaklings than there are people in a position of power. And again, that's building up to the decision Tracy and I made with why we're aligned with Organo right now. So we went from program to program and did this and did that. And it's not like you design it to go from program to program and, bring copious amounts of people. And that's not the plan. The plan is to trust people. And the biggest problem I think Tracy and I've always had is we're very trusting people. We give people the benefit of the doubt. But I think that all kind of ended, because what happened for us in our relationship with Organo, Tracy and I got burned again this year. Tracy, you know who I'm talking about. We won't even bring up his name. Very deceptive human being. And, Tracy put in 9 months of almost free labor to help this individual get off the ground and to put a company together for him. And he talks about investing, $100,000 into his business. He probably doesn't even have 15 or 20,000 into the business. And we know that for a fact. So we always seem to have people wanting us, promising us the world, but you know what? We kind of feel prostituted. And many of you feel the same way. I know that many of you feel like you've put in a lot of time, effort, and energy in all these companies, and then you've only get let down. And again, that's leading up to the decision where Tracy and I are at. So we reached a point. I reached a point at age 52 where enough is enough. Can't be doing this. I'm looking for that generational income. I'm looking for everything this industry promised. Tracy and I and you and the millions out there on the internet, this industry promised us residual income. For the rest of our gold, that a company with an incredible product, just everything would be utopic. All we had to do is go out there, build a business, empower people. Marketing is the art and science of empowering, communicating, and developing a relationship with another human being based on their needs, not mine or yours. Just to empower these people and bring them back to the family. Then we could all be one big happy family and follow the guidelines, the principles, the protocols, the policies, procedures. And everyone's, it never happened. And so we had to make a decision. And I'm going to tell you something. It was a scary decision, but it was the best decision outside of Mentors in Motion and learning from the people I learned on how not to be, taking all the good things and leaving all the bad things behind, developing the skill set, and now finding something, because I always felt in the back of my mind, I could never really find that utopia. I never really could find the integrity, the credibility, and honesty. It was always like going into these companies and having to manage them and not them managing us. So it was difficult. And then when Tracy and I, strange conversation with another person, another fellow West Canadian out of Kelowna, British Columbia, Canada, Joan, I want to give Joan the credit for this, somehow got us to talk to Shane Morand. Okay. And I didn't think that was possible because I'm not passionate about coffee. And in anything you have to do, now I will correct what I just said there in a second. Anything you need to do in this industry, you have to have passion for. The first step is passion. All right. And then obviously you got to have some of the built-in characteristical traits that I'll talk about in a second, but you have to have passion, a love for people, a love for this industry, a love for free enterprise, a love of being an entrepreneur. Okay. That passion has to be genuine. It has to be real. It can't be phony. You can't just say, hey, I've got this great skill set. I know how to manipulate a lot of people. Okay. That's a parasite. And I have no problem saying that. Okay. You have to love people. You got to have a passion for this. You really, really have to have your, but aligning that with the right company means everything. And some people have been very blessed, very fortunate to be able to have found that one particular company and ride the wave for years. But for us, we've never been able to do that. And it's something that we've always been hungry for. Tracy's been hungry for it. I've been hungry for it. She can talk about it in a second. But we had to make that decision. We got into a heart-to-heart conversation with Shane Morand. I don't know, what was it, Trace, 4 or 5 months ago? It was in the summer anyhow, the early part of the summer. We had that conversation. I was totally blown away because I didn't want that conversation to take place. I was resisting it because the truth is I was afraid of success. I was afraid of being a part of a billion-dollar company, afraid of being a part of something that, you know, it's like you're standing at the gates of heaven and you're resisting going in. And I kid you not as I say that, or you're standing at the front door of Google or Microsoft scared to go in. It's big. It's an empire. It's not about you all of a sudden. It wasn't about me anymore. The focus wasn't going to be about me anymore. So the whole point is we had this incredible conversation with an incredibly gifted, talented, unbelievable speaker and a humble human being, Shane Morand. And the conversation was so powerful that it brought me into a submission where I literally said to Shane, I said, Shane, listen, if we come in with you, would you be willing to mentor us? Would you be willing to work with the team? Help us get to where it is we want to go. And I don't do that. And I don't think even Tracy does that really. We kind of march to our own tune. We feel we know what we're doing. We've always had to manage, you know, dumbass company owners. And I don't mind saying that. We haven't found a smart company yet. And then, Tracy, do you want to talk a little bit about your feelings about that? But it's all coming down to the decision. And then I'll elaborate a little bit more. I got a lot of things I want to say, but I want you to have your words in there too about, you know, the decision. We had to face, we had to come out of Harlem, man. We had to come out of the hood. We had to come out of Calcutta. And we just, it was like, you know, going into a third world country and then going to this beautiful resort. And it's like, oh my God, am I ready for this? Yes or no? Your heart's still kind of palpitating. You're excited about it. But we decided that it was the right thing. Now, I'll stop there for a second because I want you to have a few words about the decision, the breakthrough. We went through a major breakthrough. We went through a major paradigm shift. I know I'm still talking, and I'll shut up in a second. But we went through that breakthrough to the point where we said that there's no turning back. We said that there's no turning back. We felt like we went through a vortex. We went through this. It was just like a rebirthing. And it was an incredible feeling when we made that decision. And for me, I just want to say this and I'll stop. The weight was off my shoulders. Any guilt, any anxiety, any worry, you know, of not being able to trust company owners. I'll stop there for a second. I'll elaborate a little bit more later. But Tracy, go ahead. Let's talk about the decision for you as well.
Wow. You know what? I can't, I don't even know where to start with that because, it's really about what's the culture that's been sort of permeated online over the last, oh God, I don't know, 7 years or 6 or 7 years. It really has, it's not even the industry anymore. And, I think it's kind of peeling it back just a little bit. People, we talk about you and your success and, the millions of dollars that you've generated in sales and helped people to generate. And people look at you as, and I know that there's been some conversation this week that, people forget that we all start at the same place. And you talked in the beginning there about, the pain and the anguish that you went through. And I know that we may have some people that are new to the industry here. And I really want to go into this piece of it, Val, because I think it's really important for people to know that you don't just, and I was under this misconception when I first got into this industry. I thought, hey, I was in the corporate world. I did very well there, that this should just be a piece of cake. I was sorely mistaken. So, even through, like you said, some of the mentors, I mean, I've had some good mentors. I've had some mentors that I knew exactly how I did not want to be. So the lessons about learning the good things from people, sometimes the lessons about learning what you don't want are even more powerful, because you're going to see both sides of that, and finding out where your integrity and your ethics and morals are all, because that is one of the biggest things that's one of the most prevalent things that is so important in this industry that people have forgotten. It's about that human touch. It's about that relationship with each other. And that's what's really been, and I think we all got sucked into that vortex online, and it's so toxic. And, it's that get in first and, be the first one and get spillover. And, it's a company-wide force matrix. And the unfortunate thing with people is that they're not well enough schooled or educated to know that if they get past the third or the fourth level, they're going to be waiting for, 1,000, 2,000 people before they're going to see one person in any kind of a gift situation, which we all know that's not network marketing. That's not what this industry is about. That's predatory marketing. It's false marketing. And the industry, the online world has gotten away with it for the last few years. And the people that have been kind of controlling that have kind of taken their groups from program to program to program. So they've made a bulk of money, and the people that are following after them have been hoping to make money with all of these promises. Like you say, the companies promise you all this stuff. Meanwhile, you're just getting into starting to collect some money because you worked really hard building an organization. What does the company do? Slam the doors shut, get their merchant accounts taken away from them. People are left high and dry. I mean, I had a company fold up and take $30,000 of mine. See you later, and a lot of these things, it's not, and I told you this long ago. I said, it's companies that let us down. It's not people, right? For the better part of it. I mean, some people can be like that as well. But sorry, somebody's just messaging me on here. And so, I think that people have to remember that you and I started from the same place. Everybody starts at the bottom. We had to bite and scratch and learn and fail forward and maybe sometimes fall backwards. But you know what? It's all a matter of just gathering the information, and it's all about the inner journey to get there. And I mean, we had we laughed so hard on one of our very first hangouts about you and your stories about how you would be violently ill and throwing up and having to be in front of the camera. Well, I'm no different. I mean, I remember getting on to my very first conference call, and my mouth was so dry I could have spit cotton balls out. I was so nervous. But you know what? But I mean, here, look at us here now. We're just sitting here in a living room scenario. This is what the industry now. This is what technology has been able to give us, is an ability now to do this video. We can record it. People can come in live and watch. We can actually go and have it recorded so people can watch later and learn. And so the best part of what, I mean, this industry has been very good to you, Val. But you know what? You have been very good for the industry because you have assisted people and mentored and coached them to get out of the way of themselves and be able to get into the inner game. And that's what people don't understand. I think that that's the challenge for us, is to get people to the point where they understand that it is the inner journey. It's not about being able to say my juice is better than your juice and my coffee is better than your coffee. It's about you being able to speak honestly, openly, be yourself, be engaging. And you know what? People being that know, like, and trust part of it is the most important part of it. But people can't get out of the way of themselves. So getting back to, yes, your question at the end there, what you said to me about the decision, I've always been at the corporate center of any company that I've been involved in since I've been involved in the network marketing industry. And I'm not sure why. Maybe it's like you say, it's not what you know, it's who you know. But I think it was a combination of both for me. And I can't tell you, I've been threatened by CEOs. I mean, moving the goalposts, we know, so that the members can't make money. And then having the conversation where everybody does the head nod, and the minute we walk out of the room, we've had this, the minute we walk out of the room, everything goes haywire. And you know what? That is a really tough place to be when people rely on you. And the one thing that I know people know of me, that I am as honest as they will come. If you don't want to know the truth, don't ask me. And you know what? We have the ability, Val, of being able to be honest with people. But you know what? This online garbage has hurt more people's reputations because they bring a few people to the table and say, look, I've got a really great opportunity. We can go make some money. We can lock arms. This is going to be great for our future. And then what does the company do? They end up doing some, bullshit, excuse my language, stuff. And that person is left with their friends looking them in the eye and saying, you lied to me. And you know what? That's the part that hurts me, because this industry is supposed to be about opportunity. And so when we made that decision, and it was a long time, you and I took about 3 weeks of, I think the first part of it was looking in the mirror. And that was the scariest part, because we had to go and look at ourselves and really take a good look about what was our environment. What is this? What are we existing in? What's this? And it was a cesspool, really, of a lot of things that we were trying to make sense of. And I think you and I knew already deep down, because we had started to generate those conversations. What are we doing? What are we doing? And so it's kind of way that the universe works, right? It's timing is everything. Well, we were sitting there ready, even though we didn't know it. We didn't know we were ready, but we kind of did, because we'd already had the conversation. And so for the first time in my career in this industry, I don't have to teach a CEO how to be a CEO. So guess what? I have 100% confidence that I can do my job for the first time. I can do my job. I can do it confidently. I know I'm going to get paid. I know I've got a great product. I know I've got a great company, great timing, all these things that, we can go into at a later time. But, it really is about finally being able to take that. I can finally exhale. I've always had this little guy sitting on my shoulder saying there's something, but I can't quite put my finger on it. And I don't have any of that this time. Like I said, I can exhale and I can do this with full 100% confidence and know that we have a company. His son and his daughter are head of departments in the company, and she's pregnant with a third generation. So we know exactly where this is going. It's going to be around longer than we are. Right, Val?
Yeah, it's so important, and that's it. And it doesn't matter what it is any of you are doing in the game of life. The decision, it's almost like a movie called The Decision. The decision is paramount, and being a business person, the decision is paramount. And being an executive in your home-based business, the decision is paramount. And we can talk about our great friends in the Philippines. We can talk about our great friends back in Toronto. We can talk about our great friends in the United States. We talk about our great friends in Thailand and people around the world. They all had to make a decision. And, when we discuss this, making the decision to be a part of Organo, we just didn't allow ourselves to be manipulated. We didn't allow ourselves to buy into, hey, a friend who says, come on in, take a position, all that Mickey Mouse, predatory bullshit stuff that happens on the internet. We didn't allow ourselves to do that. We went through a genuine process of integrity, authenticity, and we really needed to make this right. And so what we did is Tracy said to corporate, you got to get Val out here. So corporate brought me to Vancouver. I got to meet Tracy faces. We got to spend time in corporate. And I can sit here and brag about, being corporate, and it's a beautiful $10 million facility, and they have all the incredible things there that go along with a beautiful office and, 300 people working in the office. And that wasn't even the distribution center. That's just operations. The building was stunning. But I'm not going to talk a lot about that. I'm not going to talk about the 3 hours we had or 2.5 hours we had with Bernie. And I'm not just going to talk about how wonderful Christelle was as the executive secretary there, the executive assistant, so to speak, if I may use that term. Everything was beautiful, the energy, the synergy, but being there and observing and walking the halls and feeling the energy, feeling the vibration, which is all a part of the spiritual process. Listening to Bernie talking so softly, so gently, knowing his family in. Bernie used to live in Edmonton here, 5 minutes away from my house. Bringing his family in, meeting the lawyers there. They don't have to hire, MLM attorneys outside with retainer fees and stuff. This company has the infrastructure, the hundreds of millions of dollars in, revenue resources in order to implement their own game plan. They are their own planet. They are their own world. They are their own oil reserve. And it's funny saying oil reserve because they're marketing liquid gold, right? So it's funny saying that. So it wasn't a company that was in a position of weakness. It was just like, oh my God, look at this thing operate. It was like going into a movie like Total Recall and programming, Utopia. It was like the Microsoft, the Apple. But the part that I loved was the observation. I love the cooperation. I love the interaction between the people. Everything was just so beautiful. It was so smooth. It was like that well-oiled machine. And that's the really big thing that stands out, was just how respectful. And you can tell if there's resentment, bitterness, competition, rivalry, power struggles. It was just such a beautiful thing to see this family-operated, mega multi-billion-dollar corporation that wasn't run by a dictator, that wasn't run by an ownership that bashes all these other companies. They don't even talk about other companies. They live in their own pristine world, almost like Avatar. If you ever seen the movie Avatar, that whole brand new world that is non-toxic, non-polluted. And so Organo to me was like, it was like the best kept secret in the industry. People think they know what Organo is. People think, it's a binary, it's a coffee company. Not even close. People think it's about Holton Bugs, Shane Moran. Not even close. Nothing to do with the company. Very little to do with the company when you really understand it. But those were the impressions that I had going into it, that it was Holton's company, Shane's company. Bernie was somewhere back there behind the scenes, and it was just a coffee company. That was just my stupidity and dumbness and ignorance until I gave myself permission to become educated and keep my mouth shut and listen and really discover what it was all about. And then all of a sudden, Tracy gets on an airplane. My daughter's coming in the room. All of a sudden, Tracy gets on an airplane and goes to the convention. And this company's sitting here saying, hey, who do you want to come to the convention? We're not going to put them in the golds. We're not going to put them in the silvers. We're going to put them in the VIPs. These people are going to be coming to private parties, private dinners that catered only to an exclusive group. We had the opportunity to bring people in, and we weren't even committed. We weren't even in the company yet per se. They just said, what do you want from us? And I'm not talking about writing blank checks and things like that. What do you want as far as people to see who we are? And then you went down there, Tracy, because I was on my way to Toronto. But when I went to Toronto, I had the great privilege of going back to home, my hometown, Toronto, going back to seeing friends and stuff. But I had the great privilege of having Shane and Josie Moran be back in Toronto from the convention. They live in beautiful Oakville. It's a very prestigious area. And I had the opportunity to go to Shane's house. So myself, my wife, and kids, we're doing the Griswold family vacation. We pull up in our sports utility vehicle in front of this big mammoth mansion. And then the mammoth mansion beside him is 52,000 square feet. The guy has rock concerts and stuff. He has, 48 people that do his lawn and stuff like that. He owns all these breweries and things like that. But anyhow, that's all good. That was good. But again, what I'm here to tell you about, it wasn't just about the mansions and the Porsches and the Lamborghinis and the 52,000 square foot house in the neighborhood. That was all cool. Been there, done it. It's all cool. But it was when we got there, there was a note on the front door that said, "Meet us around back." Nobody was there to answer the front door. I thought, that's cool. I liked it. It made me feel like I'm at home. This is great, guys. Hey, come around back. We're go around back, and everyone's dogs are jumping in the pool. Nephews and cousins and stuff are jumping in the pool, and Shane's there, and not intimidating, humble. You wouldn't even know he's the highest paid human being on the planet, or one of the highest paid human beings on the planet. Josie's there. They got food out on the table, the umbrellas out, everything is just so cool, and it just looks like, hey, this bunch of buddies and guys hanging out, having fun.
Now let me ask you a question here on this part, because I think that this is really an interesting point, because we've been around the industry for a while. We've had an opportunity to be around some impressive individuals in the industry. I mean, you're an impressive individual, and you and I become really good friends. But for a lot of people who haven't been exposed to a lot of this, let's just say there's somebody that's brand new in the industry, and this all sounds really awesome, because it really was for you and I as seasoned veterans in this industry. We had an opportunity to validate every one of the things that we wanted from a company, right? We wanted something. And I think that's what we really got back down to. The question was, what did we want? We wanted something that was secure, that we could finally build a business with. And I said to you the other day when we were talking, I said, heavens, in this industry online, all of those companies that I have been with, and I've made some really good money with some. However, if I had had one solid company to have built with, I would have had hundreds of thousands of people in it, because every time something fails, you go and you rebuild and you find new people, and some fall out, some fall in, whatever the case may be. So I think that there's definitely, you and I talk about mindsets and about the decision making for us, and it was kind of like we just opened the fence and we got the gate, and we went to the other side of the fence, and all of a sudden, and it was a eureka moment, I think, for both of us, that we got to the other side of the fence, and we got a chance to look back at all of that other stuff. And I think that was a revelation moment for you and I both, when we said, what the hell are we doing?
Yeah,
right?
It was crazy. It was like we're standing there looking down, and I you know what, Tracy, I'm looking down, I'm saying, I can't believe I was that so bloody stupid to allow myself to be a part of this cesspool of crap out there. But again,
but you see, the people don't know that, though, Val.
They don't know it, and they won't know it, Tracy.
They don't know it.
They won't know it. They won't know it. They'll defend it. And I defended it. I know where they're coming. I defended it. I mean, I wouldn't look at Organo or, any great big company that had a bunch of superstars. I had my own mental blocks about that, and I did everything. I would bash, or I would do everything to defend my belief system. And I apologized to Shane, because I was wrong. I was wrong.
But here's the little piece that permeates the online world, is the language, is the dialogue that preys on the hope of people, is that get in first, make $1 million. Here's a $1.77 program, and you're going to make $1 million. People, you talked about it earlier, about the whole process of the debt conscious. And I said, people want something bad enough, they'll figure it out. There's always an alternative, and there's always a way. And we watched one of our members do exactly that. One of our leaders, and I was just elated over the fact of what he managed to produce out of a situation. And so anybody can do anything if you see it, you believe it. You're the master of all this. We talk about this a lot, and being able to actually create that moment and every step of it through a process in your mind. And you know what? I truly believe, because you and I've got pretty strong constitutions, and people do listen to us. And when we have something to say, they will listen. And I truly believe that this right now is a moving trend, that people are tired of being sick and tired and all that, because I know you and I are. We have gone into, we've made a stake, we've laid a stake, and this is our home. This is what we're going to do. People are going to start, they'll be peeking from behind the curtain just to take a look for a little while. But you know what? Here's the difference in the mentality is that's okay, because we're still going to be here. It's not about getting in first, getting in and hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. You know what? It's all about making the right decision. Again, the right decision for the long haul. This is something I'm going to be able to do and leave for my children. So I think the challenge for us at this point is getting into the heads of people and explaining, getting them to like extracting that garbage and starting to inject all the right thing. And I think it's confidence. It's about being part of something that's greater than them, and it was greater than us. Having the courage to say, you know what, I'm ready. Let's run. And I think that whole process is going to be something that is going to take time to develop over the people online, right?
Remember something on a spiritual level here. Let's bring a little bit of the spiritual stuff into a little bit. The great book says, ask and ye shall receive. And if you take a look at what's out there on the internet, it can be exciting. It's fast and furious. It's like the movie. It's drifting. It's exciting. We're in 2015, microwave marketing. It's fast, it's furious, it's exciting. The potential of getting in. If that's what people want, it's there. So we got to be careful that we're not totally knocking that, because if that personality, and that's good. But if that's what they want, you know what? By all means, go have it. We were there. The promise of being in at the top, having thousands of people come into it. Everybody wants that fast payout. Everybody wants to say, man, I just got 10 grand out of here. I got 17 grand out of here. I got 34 grand out of here. That's exciting. Don't get me wrong. That's exciting. But there might be a point down the road, Tracy, where these people just get sick of that crap, because I'll call it crap. And been there long enough. For me, it's crap. The thing about Organo, it's not going to be that fast and furious, make your 20,000 your first week type thing, unless you do some pretty phenomenal numbers, of course. But the whole point being is it's what do you want? At this stage for us, it's like we needed a culture. We needed a solid long-term culture. And just going back to Shane, one of the things that I observed about Shane, when we were in his backyard, he never offered me a beer. He never offered me any alcohol. Josie and Benita were drinking wine. Shane didn't offer me any alcohol. As a matter of fact, when we were in Vancouver and we went out for lunch, no alcohol was a part of the equation. Other companies that I've been flown out there to, I think I've been to 23 different companies in my life. Promise of money, promise of expense account, promise of this and that. Alcohol was always part of the equation.
And there was none at the convention either. Not a drop.
Yeah. They don't permit it. No. And Shane said to you, he said, he doesn't believe, and he told me this. He says he doesn't believe in alcohol being a part of any business transaction or business meeting in any which way, shape, or form. He says it's not that he won't have a beer. It's not that he won't have a tequila, whatever it is. That's for fun and pleasure. But outside first impression business, you're coming in. Other people go to Vegas, they party, they go for dinners. Shane won't have any part of that because he's smart. And that's something I observed is you keep the poison, you keep the toxic, you do everything in your power, because all that stuff is gossip. God only knows what happens to people under the influence of alcohol, what they do, what they say, how they act, and how that can totally bring down a kingdom, just like Sodom and Gomorrah, in no time at all, honestly. And so they are very, very specific with their conventions. You experienced that. You went to the VIP dinner. What happened at the VIP dinner?
Oh, it was awesome. There was no alcohol.
No alcohol, right?
No. But you know what? With that in mind, too, don't forget, Val, that the company's product is a health product. It's a beverage, and it's a contradiction to introduce alcohol into an environment that has a health benefit beverage and products that it just doesn't make sense. It's a disconnect, right? It's a total disconnect.
But it was just so amazing to see, Organo is developing so many millionaires in second and third world countries, all over the world, Philippines and, Thailand and Europe. And, it's so massive outside of the North American content. people don't hear about it much anymore. They have totally false misconceptions of the company because we hear it every day and we know it every day. It just seems like it's its own planet that's quietly going about its business and raising the bar and taking that company, because the fastest growing company hit $1 billion in 4.5 years. No company in the history of network marketing has ever done that before. Now they're on their way to $10 billion, and they're bringing in a gentleman, and the announcement's going to be made in January. We know about it. He sold probably the most prominent health and nutritional company in the world. He sold it for $2 billion, and he's now coming in to Organo because
he came to Organo. They didn't search him out.
Yeah, he came to them. He came asking them. He went and checked out a few other MLMs. Yeah, he went to some of the other big reputable companies out there that are hitting $300-400 million, and he felt he needed a shower after he went to corporate head office, because that's probably where you find the white stuff, and that's probably where you find the alcohol there too, right? Yep. But honestly, he came here and he just thought, like, there's something magical that you can't put into words, and that's weird hearing me say that for somebody that would say, no, I would never. I said hell would freeze over before I'd ever be a part of that. So anyhow, the decision was made. We want to build a fantastic group. We're going to do a lot of great training here. I know we're dragging this call on a little bit long. We're going to do a lot of incredible training here along the way. But there's something I wanted to share with you tonight. Tracy, do you have any final words on that before I
I just want to, just a little bit. And then I know you have a piece that you want to go off and do here. I think that, talking, I keep wanting to going back and talking with regards to the brand new people and who might be new to the industry, and where do they, how do they get going and everything. I think it's all about, let us be your eyes. Listening to what we have to say, let us see for you what we've done in our due diligence throughout this company, through the weeks that we took analyzing it and knowing that we made a final decision based on so many components that that rest assured, rest easy, that we've made the right decision for you now to go out confidently and be able to present this business opportunity and the product, whether you're just a really great customer and you love the products. Awesome. If you want to build a business that's going to sustain through your lifetime and through your children's lifetime, that's even more awesome. And that's what we're going to do. And we're going to be here to be leadership and create leadership and be able to, just see our future for once and for all. Right. So anyways, over to you, Val.
Yeah, no, this is what we call home. This is our generational company, and this is where we choose to be. We don't really, it's not about want, it's where we choose to be, and this is where we will be, because this resonates with everything we're doing in the game of life. This is the ripple effect that we want to put out all over the world to our great brothers and sisters in the Philippines, Kiko and the great group there doing a fantastic job, to the folks in Thailand, to the folks in Europe, to the folks in the Caribbean. All over. We want to leave a major impact, and we want to be proud. We don't want to be doing this. Tracy, you have a great line that you tell people, and it's a very powerful line. And Tracy says this to people on the phone, and then the light goes on. She says, listen, she says, we're getting older in the game of life. She doesn't want to be pitching deals when she's 83. You don't want to be, the way, if people just keep doing what they're doing, history will dictate that you'll be pitching a new deal all the way into your 80s. It'll always be for that. I got to make an extra $2,000. Got to make an extra $800, and then you'll have that other aspect of people that will be sitting there pitching deals. They'll never be making money. They'll be defending why they're not willing to learn, strategize, learn great marketing techniques. They'll be defending their excuses. They'll be defending their poverty. They'll be defending the fact that it's not about money. They'll be defending everything why they've lived a pathetic life. I have no problem saying that on this call. Those people, those are the hobbyists. They shouldn't even be in there. I just don't mind telling them that. They'll come back out and want to put up a fight to that. They've lost. Not because I said so. That's just the way the law is. If you choose to be pathetic, you are pathetic. You must be in order to do in order to have. So you decide what it is you're going to do. All right. This is business. This is about profit. This is about empowering people's lives. This is about getting great integral products out there in the marketplace. You don't sit there and say money's bad. You don't say people are bad because they're making money. Just get out of the way. If that's your attitude, get out of the way. You're just going to get steamrolled. You're going to get run over. Not by me, but by the industry, it'll just take your sick, lonely life at the end of your life, and you'll look back and you'll realize how pathetic your life was and how pathetic your mindset was, and that's a fact. And that's not directed at anyone on this call. That's just talking about
because we were both there at one time, Val. It's okay.
If we didn't change our attitude and go through this breakthrough and decide to, find a legitimate company without all this Mickey Mouse brand new pre-launch, companies that don't really have the money behind them to sustain and maintain. I mean, do that for a hobby. All right. I mean, I don't mind being aligned for something for a hobby, educational or something like that, but I'm not putting, all my 100% hope in the things like that are going to be around 6 months, 8 months, 10 years from now. But if you get a great product out of it, learn a great lesson out of it, grab some great knowledge out of it, build some great connections out of it, I love it. Go ahead and do that. All right. But find yourself one heck of a company to run with, to roll with, to allow your children to be proud, your family to be proud of. And so that, when you die and you got a tombstone there, it didn't say this person was a parasite, on the tombstone. I say that in a fun loving way with a smirk on my face, of course. But anyhow, I remember back in Mentors in Motion, we're almost finished here, guys. Back in Mentors in Motion, I think this is really important. We talked a little bit about the decision tonight because we have organic decision about what we needed to go through. We talked about what Tracy and I went through. You're going to decide what it is you're going to go through. You don't have to buy into anything. You said this was our journey. We went through it together, feeling the same way, looking at things the same way. We expressed our frustration the same way. We got tired of being manipulated. We got tired of watching our commissions checks be stolen from us. The last company I was with, they ripped me for $83,000. Okay, prior to two companies ago. So not the last one, but the one two ago. They hit me up for $83,000. Never seen the money, and even to this day, they don't acknowledge anything. All right, but that's just a trend in the industry. Suck it up. It's all good. I really don't care. But again, when I say I really don't care, I let it go. Let the universe deal with that. So you learn your lessons, you pick up, and now we've changed. We've changed our direction. We changed our atmosphere. We changed the planet we wish to work on. But now, something back in Mentors in Motion, I had this list, different characteristical traits. I want you all to do this checklist. If you have a pen and paper, this is really cool. Obviously, you'll have this recording to be able to pull this off as well, too. But I don't have the original list that I have. So I want to give a big shout out to somebody I have a lot of admiration for, Grant Cardone. I think he's fantastic, and I'm going to borrow some of his information, but I might add to it, make it a little bit better. So I want to give him credit for this because I was thinking about it. I don't have mine. I had 15 to 20 points, and I remember seeing something Grant had about 12. So this is a great test, all right, because again, you've got people that think they're business people. You got people that are broke. They think they're business people. You got people that are broke and they think they're business people, and they throw a few sophisticated words out there to make it sound like they're business people, but they're playing out this facade. All right. It's all an illusion. Their mindset is an illusion. They understand how to do it intellectually. They understand how to do it from a manipulative point of view, but they're not that person. Okay. So here's some characteristics that you really need to know, all right? So you can separate yourself from the hobbyist, discover whether or not you're a real, true entrepreneur at heart, okay? And I want you to think about this, okay? This is really, 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 really important. I want you to think of people like Henry Ford. I want you to think of Steve Jobs. I want you to think of Oprah Winfrey, Martha Stewart. I want you to think of Mark Cuban, all right? These people achieved greatness. These people achieved greatness, but they didn't follow the protocol. They didn't follow the narrow path. They didn't follow the curriculum that was laid out for them. These people created their own path. They designed their own curriculum. They were innovators. They were thinkers. They were the people, and I can relate to it because I was the kid that used to sit in class and look out the window, and the teacher would ask me a question, and I couldn't answer the question because I didn't know what the heck she said or he said at that time and space. So the kids kind of laugh at you a little bit like, yeah. But I was dreaming of a bigger, better world. And I've always been like that. I've always been a dreamer, not dealing with sometimes reality along the way. So what I want to do right now is I want to show you some of these characteristics. And I'll do it from Grant's point of view, and I'll kind of elaborate on it because I think he's got some great material. Well, I don't think. I know he has some great material. So number one, are you the type of person that is easily bored? If you find yourself easily bored, you know how others start to view you as a problem in their life. You become not very attractive to them because they see you as kind of this person's just kind of bored. You're not really contributing to the conversation. There's nothing wrong with that except that you're bored with the activities. They're not living up to your potential. They aren't even challenging you. You're not intellectually stimulated in any way. They totally lack challenge. And this is why you probably disliked many of the classes, maybe back in high school or college or university. I know I did. And I want you to think about people like Steve Jobs. And I want you to think about people like Bill Gates. Bill Gates, he quit college. And Steve Jobs would walk the halls in university. And he wouldn't even go to his courses. He would go to other courses in other lecture halls and sit in the back and listen. They were totally breaking all the rules. I can't begin to tell you how many big name entrepreneurs that dominate and control the business world were totally bored with the outside design curriculum. Okay. Number two, has anyone ever called you a rebel? Have you ever thought of yourself as a badass rebel? You don't conform to the norm. And do you realize that greatness lies outside of all the boundaries of authority you could possibly think of? You don't think about the laws. You don't think about the policies, You don't think about regulations that apply to you. You've been labeled a rebel, a rule breaker, and you defy gravity if you could. I remember when I was a younger kid, I would always walk off the roof of our house, but I'd always hit the ground. It was okay. I could jump. And back then it was like we all did it. We'd jump from the house to the garage. We were all, defying everything. We'd be leaping at a tree. So way up there. Today, would I do that? No. But I want you to know that some of us are badass. Some of us are rebels. Some of you that are watching this presentation, is that you? Do you feel that you're a conformist? Does the status quo stimulate you in every which way, shape, or form? I mean, when I do a presentation, most of the time, definitely not tonight, but I stir the pot. And I stir the pot so I can discover people's strengths and weaknesses. Define what it is they're excited about. Define whether or not this is somebody I would want to work with. Define, is this somebody that would resonate with me so that if we were to do a project, we could blow it up? Because I want to work with rebels. I want to work with badasses. These people understand that there are no boundaries. There are no borders. You got to go for it. Okay. You're not being cautious. You're not thinking, maybe you should be in some cases, and you can do that every now and then. But definitely the excitement, the adrenaline totally outweighs the cautious side of things. Okay. What about this? Do you dislike the status quo? Do you hate the status quo? Doing something that's time honored. All right. Think about it. Do you really like being a part of the status quo? You don't like to sit, right? You probably don't like to sit and just, you probably don't like living in the neighborhood you live in. You get restless living in the neighborhood. You get restless being around status quo people. You get bored. You just start to lose it. I know I do. I just can't be around the status quo. And there's so much status quo on the internet that's feeling they want to be something someday, that they feel like they want this financial freedom. How can you have financial freedom in your life if you conform to the status quo? Status quo is not about lifestyle. It's about survival. Okay? It's absolutely amazing when you really understand it. Now, here's one. Think about being bullied as a kid. I don't really remember being bullied as a kid. I remember being roughed up by my older brother and stuff like that. But I always had these silent leadership qualities. But they say, this is a great point. You may have been heavily picked on, criticized, and even bullied as a child or a teen. This has given you the drive to excel and to prove to the world that you're indeed a force to be reckoned with. And I imagine that happens to a lot of people. I remember, high school, Tracy. I remember high school. Some of the kids that were slammed into lockers. I remember some of the kids that got, roughed up in the bathrooms or in the halls or pushed in the lockers, and seeing that from a distance. And you know what? I still remember some of those kids, and some of those kids went on, to be great adults in the film producing industry in Toronto, Vancouver. I see many of those guys that were nerds and, kind of what they thought were weirdos. They're not so weird anymore. These are very prominent executives with companies just tearing it up. They're on TV commercials. And some of them even made it to Hollywood, not as actors, but, in the production and working, for Columbia and stuff like that. Absolutely amazing. So something motivates the kid that's been bullied every now and then to become a driving force in society later in life. I think it's beautiful. Here's one. I think this is Tracy. Resisting authority. All right. Parents, teachers, bosses, anyone else in a position of authority that you have a lifelong record of resisting them. You don't go along with the agreed upon norms of the groups and the communities that you actively work in or you live in. I know that's definitely me. I have a challenge when people give me orders. I have a challenge. Unless I respect them, unless I have the utmost respect for somebody, I don't want to listen to them. I really, really don't. My teachers didn't listen to them. When I got called into the principal's office, didn't work. I was living my own way. I was living through my own terms. I will show up to class when I want to show up to class. I will fail a test when I want to fail a test. I will pass a test when I want to pass a test. Those are the crazy things, right? We were like juvenile delinquents out there, living and breathing and doing our own things. And I think sometimes you look back at your childhood, and Tracy, you and I have had this conversation. I kind of wonder, and Tracy, for you too, I wonder how we even made it past age 25. We should be dead, with some of the things that you and I have talked about. And I'm sure many other people feel the same way. And when you're that type of rebel, when you're that type of badass, when you have a hard time with authority, now we're not talking about going out and robbing banks and, lighting buildings up on fire and stuff like that. We're just talking about, don't tell me, just don't tell me. Don't tell me how it's going to be. Some of us just have that built-in DNA where we don't want people to tell us how it's going to be, especially if you don't respect them, especially if they haven't earned your respect, especially if they haven't proven quality leadership or mentorship in your life, where you don't look at them as heroes. If people weren't a hero in my life, what they had to say doesn't matter. And that still happens in today's times. I just totally, people talk to me sometimes, I'm not even listening. I mean, I'm there physically, but I'm not even listening. Tracy, you're exactly the same way. We've had that conversation. Excuse me. Here's another one. Are you the type of personality that's been fired from a job? How many of you have ever been fired from a job? How many of you have gone from various different employments? When it comes to working with others, you're too creative for your own good. Tracy talked about that. We've had that problem in network marketing companies where they cut our checks off. We had that problem in network marketing companies because the owners are scared of us, terrified of us. So they steal our position and take our checks. Oh, we got to find a way to get them out of here, right? Because they're scared. They're living in fear. They don't want to be exposed. And that's what happens when you're a rebel. You're badass. You know what's going on. People don't want you to know what's going on. So you may have a history of losing jobs. Being a cog in the wheel is very difficult for you when you're out there and you want to create something so others can be inspired and be a part of it. Maybe you're an innovator. Maybe you got great ideas. It must be tough to sit in a cubicle or a 9-to-5 environment when you know your brain's racing, that you can do something bigger, better than the position you're sitting at right now. That means you've got incredible characteristic traits to be an entrepreneur and have your own business, and particularly work with crazy people like Tracy and I and this team. Do you have an obsessive personality? You may be labeled obsessive because when you started something, you have a great difficult time letting it go. Don't let anyone convince you that it's a disease or a deficiency. All great entrepreneurs become quickly immersed in their vision, obsessed. Howard Schultz stuck with Starbucks even when his family tried to talk him out of it. Let go of that little coffee shop. Steve Jobs was told the iPhone was a bad idea and to abandon it, that we would lose millions of dollars. Think about it. Think about it, okay? I can't begin to tell you how many people I tried to talk out of drinking coffee at one time because I wasn't a coffee drinker. Now I drink it all the time. I can drink it with my wife, and I don't have to talk her out of it anymore. It's amazing when you feel good about something and your heart's now connected to it. There's an emotional connection. It's not about money. There is a connection. There's a bond there. Okay. Are you the type of person that's unable to unwind? Okay. Are you the type of person that you just can't unwind? That's me, totally me. Sleeping's not an option for me. I'm an insomniac type person. Tracy, I often say, how do you do it? I mean, you get 3 hours a night sleep. Tracy's up like 2 a.m. and she's back at it 4, 6, 5, whatever it is. I mean, how do you do it? And then you go for these mammoth hikes and going up those hills in White Rock, doing those runs. I mean, that's insane. So sleeping's not an option. You can't turn your thoughts off, your ideas maybe even manifest themselves while you're sleeping. My best ideas hit me at about 4 o'clock in the morning. I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm sitting there thinking, man, give me a notepad. I got to write this down. Like I got some great material here. All right. Your minds never seem to be able to turn off. And even when you go on vacation, you can't turn it off. All right. And the next morning you're still consumed with the idea, distracting you from a job. So I can't even imagine what it would be like to be like that, to be distracted with these great inner thoughts. And then you have this 9-to-5 job you have to go to every day. Or you're in a contract and you're doing something for somebody else, but your thoughts are emotionally connected to doing something, and that's what keeps me in the network marketing industry, because I believe that making money, for me personally, Trace, I believe that making money can be so simple. I believe if we follow the blueprint, what network marketing is all about, and the blueprint's been totally distorted because of the manipulation on the internet, the great density of business opportunities on the internet. There's just so much chaos and distraction. And, it's like all these radio waves and frequencies and bandwidth going through our bodies every single day. Well, the internet does that same thing with business opportunities. Everyone's pitching. And as we sit here right now, there's radio waves just penetrating, boom, boom, boom. We're getting hit by all kinds of interesting frequencies and bandwidths going through the bodies. Unbelievable. All right. Not fitting into the norm. How many of you think you fit into the norm? All right. I know I don't fit into the norm. I make people feel uncomfortable that are not comfortable with the entrepreneur personality. I can have great conversations with Tracy or many of you great people that are watching this right now. We're friends. We can talk about it because we're freaks. We have something in common. But I will have a very difficult time talking to somebody that's in a home-based business that is doing it as a hobby, doing it from a position of poverty, talking, living, breathing, have an excuse for why they're useless, why they're unproductive, why things aren't working. And I will have a very difficult time with that person if they try to justify it and tell me that's right. They're wrong. They're totally wrong, and that can't even begin to be debated. So a true entrepreneur will gravitate to a true entrepreneur. And a whole bunch of victims will gravitate to a whole bunch of victims, and there'll be these little cliquey groups and defend. There's two arguments in here. There's prosperity consciousness and there's poverty consciousness. There's the basement, there's the penthouse. Okay, the basement doesn't entertain me in any which way, shape, or form. Small talk. Does small talk turn you on? Small talk does not turn me on. I need to be intellectually stimulated. Tracy, you do too. I feel really uncomfortable being around superficial small talk. I mean, I'll exit that crowd very quickly. You see it in conversations with friends and stuff. Let's talk about something stimulating. Let's talk about something innovative. Let's talk about something that psychologically stimulates and takes to another level. Do you like to be stimulated in conversations? Or do you just like to hear the same old small talk again? Hi, how are you? Or, hey, great to be connected. Or, hey, we're like-minded. Whatever it is, Mickey Mouse stuff like that, Scared to go solo. I think sometimes people are scared to go solo. There's that inner entrepreneur about yourself. Sometimes, you feel that fear that you don't want to do it on your own. You want to do it with somebody else, and it kind of brings that comfort into your life. And then if you don't have that option, you're also terrified too. You've got these two things pulling at your heartstrings, right? Like, you want to do it, but you're a little bit scared. You want to jump in, you're a little bit scared. And then the other part that's eating away at you is, well, if I don't do it, that scares you too, because you're terrified of not living the dream, of not making that attempt. And I can use that with my child, Ethan. When we go up on a large diving board, for example, very large diving board. I think it's got to be at least 30 feet off the water surface. I watched his hesitation of going up there, walks right to the edge, is not scared, but I watched his hesitation of jumping way down for the very first time. Now he does it all the time. He jumps like he's jumping off an apartment building, and he loves it, and he's smiling and laughing. But he wanted me to walk up with him at first. And then when I walked up with him, he then said, Dad, go, get out of here. He just needed that comfort of, the handhold going up the stairs. And then when he got to the platform, I had to leave. He was ready to take on the world. He was ready to be, the rebel. He was ready to take on that challenge. He didn't want to be a part of the status quo and say, oh, I don't think it's safe that a child at that age should be jumping off a board like that. You know what I mean? He went and he did it. And then ready to improve everything. Are you the type of person that likes to improve everything? And am I? I do it in a very chaotic way. I do it in a very disorganized way. I would know Tracy inside out. I know Tracy inside out on this. Tracy wants to improve everything, and she'll do it meticulously with an order to it. She'll break it right down into a systematic order where I just say, okay, Trace, just throw me out there, whatever it is we do. But yeah, I mean, that's totally us. Do you want to improve everything? Yeah, I want to improve the mindset of this industry to fear making money. I don't want people with $30,000 a month, $80,000 a month, $100,000 a month. That freaks people out. You know, they will attack people like me if we talk that type of language because they're afraid. You know, so do you want to improve everything? You always see how you could do things better. You are likely opinionated and freely give your own 2 cents about better ways of marketing, better ways of anything, even if you're not asked. If these apply to you, then you know you've got a gift and talent to be an incredible entrepreneur. Okay? But it's really important, guys. This is really important. I'll just say this in closing. All right? Don't believe how others label you. Don't ever get caught up in how other people label you or what they say about you. Okay? What others say about your liabilities to them may turn out to be the best qualities and assets you have for success. And I know that. I took a big risk doing Mentors in Motion. I got crucified doing Mentors in Motion because I changed the industry around. I came in and said, what your upline is teaching you is garbage. 3-way calls, writing on lists of names of your family and friends, and, you know, running around the city and meeting people face to face all day. How are you going to make any money doing that? I mean, we started a whole trend to the point that, listen, when you understand truth goes through 3 major transformations. Okay, truth goes through, first it's ridiculed, then it's violently opposed, and then all of a sudden it's accepted as fact. And that's the way my life has been in dealing with people that just aren't up to speed. And I know for many of you it's the same way. So have you been labeled by people in any of these categories on the list? You know, and you will turn that into success. You definitely will turn that into success. These are the characteristical traits you need for success. Henry Ford did it. Mark Cuban did it. Oprah Winfrey did it. Martha Stewart did it. If they bought into the status quo, if they bought into what the curriculum was designed, son, daughter, go to school, get an education, and be somebody's bitch. Wasn't supposed to say that, but I'll say it. They wouldn't be who they are today. Oprah wouldn't be one of the richest people in the world. You know what I mean? Mark Cuban wouldn't be on the Dragon's Den or the Sharks, the Shark Tank. These people wouldn't be innovative, creative. If Christopher Columbus didn't get lost at sea and have the Native Americans find him lost at sea, if he didn't get in that ship and go out, North America might not be discovered today. We still might be talking about being in a flat world. Somebody's got to do it, you know, and people that want to be in the status quo, let them live in the status quo. But this is your life, this is your dream, this is your paradise. You decide how that's going to play out. Are you going to live out in somebody else's daydream, or are you going to create your own? So along the weeks, we will show you really cool Mentors in Motion. But again, we want to use this in alignment with Organo because we want to support our Organo business and help people evolve and grow and develop a skill set. And I'm not asking you to come here and listen to this as an intellectual exercise. I mean, you know, any stiff can come and listen to things intellectually. I fully expect you to work on yourself, work on your business, work on team building, work in your communication skills, work on all the exercises, whether we ask you to, speak out, whether we ask you to put out a video, quick testimonial. It's about taking action, developing, going through the process. And for some of you, you're going to think of fast excuses why you couldn't do it. But the interesting thing is, you can't cheat the universe, and you can't cheat Tracy and I, because I know what an excuse is. Why do I know what an excuse is? Because I used to be a walking, living, breathing excuse. I'm not anymore. So one excuse can definitely recognize another. All right? So on behalf of Tracy and myself, we love you all in spirit. Thank you for coming and just listening in tonight. I expected this call to only go about 30 minutes to 45 minutes. But like Tracy and I always say, it never works out that way. We just do our thing and we make it happen. And, wherever it goes, it goes. So anyhow, guys, listen, love you all in spirit. Have a wonderful night. On behalf of Tracy and myself, Tracy, if you want to say anything that's cool, we'll see you next Sunday.
Yeah,
Bye.
just everybody. Thanks, Val. Thanks, everybody, for joining us tonight. Be bold in your approach, folks. And if everybody's doing it that way, do it that way. And you know what? We'll see you again next Sunday night. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.